And here we get a look at one of those right side tires, and it looks to be in pretty good shape, Brock. There's no blistering going on there. What you'd expect from one of these rather hard spec tires. Everybody has to run the same compound Goodyears.
Well, they're checking the stagger on that one. That will be a good indication that Junior's getting excellent tire wear. Now, remember, too, this is a hot, hot day. Probably in the mid-80s. There's Butch Miller, as I said, fell back to 12th place. Not on the racetrack, but in the pit stop. And, of course, that's as critical as running quickly out here. Another example, Bob Seneker in the 84 car, Steve, had a terrible pit stop, got jammed onto the pits, and has fallen way, way back. He was up among the leaders at the start, but once again, bad pit work or tough break in the pits penalized him.
Well, there again, though, they did all stay on the same lap. And in short track racing, if you could do that, you're always in the hunt to win one of these things. If you get a lap down, well, you better be awfully good.
All right, the 58 car of Darrell Brown, which did not stop, leads him down through turns 1 and 2, but you can be sure that with fresh rubber on board, Junior Hanley's going to be hard to handle. There's the 72 automobile weaving his way through the field and heading back toward the front.
And running in the second position, the red and white car, number 40 of Bruce Vanderland. Now, he did not pit, much like the leader Brown, so how long they can stay up there remains to be seen. It's doubtful at least. And also Ted Musgrave in there, he is a lap down because of some damage in that crash on the first lap.
So as everybody kind of sorts themselves out here, this always happens in this kind of racing, that when you have a lot of pit stops, it kind of confuses sometimes the folks in the grandstand. Also, sometimes can confuse the scorers as well, because you get some cars that stop and some cars that don't. And there you see Junior Hanley, who did stop, made a great stop, and with fresh rubber on board, is bound to move through these slower automobiles.
Well, there is Junior making a perfect pass on Bruce Vanderline. That will put him back in second position.
There's a certain inevitability about all this, Steve, as we watch the field kind of sort itself out here after that pit stop. As we watch Junior Hanley, you can almost call him the leader, even though he's really not. For all intents and purposes, he is, because he's made a pit stop, and Darrell Brown is not. So Brown is just running on worn-out rubber, and it's sooner or later he's going to have to make that stop. He's also going to have to get some fuel on board that thing as well. As we watch him move ahead here, Junior Hanley at the current moment is really leading this race. Right behind him is Bobby Dodder in the white number 6.
Well, he's officially the leader as he drove around the 58 car. And look at this, starting to feel racy in that blue Thunderbird number 98 is Jody Ridley. He has got the 6th place down, and Butch Miller coming right through with him. So is Harold Fair.
Well, there you see that white number 52 of Butch Miller right behind the blue 98 of Jody Ridley. Those two guys definitely going to be players in this. As you said, also that black 81 of Harold Fair right behind them. So Jody in 6th, Butch Miller back in 7th. And look at this, Miller now challenging Jody as they come off turn number 2, and he noses in underneath them down into turn 3.
You know, you get the feeling that maybe back there, just like the 52 car and the 98 car, that they're kind of testing each other. I wonder how much power he's got. I need to know that later on. I wonder how his car's handling high. A lot goes into this short track stuff.
Absolutely, and of course they will fool around with tire stagger and chassis setup during the course of the pit stops, and so sometimes it's deceiving. Now right now Jody appears to be able to run high, as does Butch, but the racetrack conditions could change, the tire compounds could change, the setup could change, so he may not be able to do that later in the race. But right now these two guys are pretty evenly matched. Miller seems to like to run this racetrack in the low group. It's bumpy down in there. Jody seems to be able to stay up high above the bumps, especially coming off turn 4.
Yeah, but Jody's car's a little loose up high now, and Butch Miller in the 52 car is down underneath him. It's not if this racetrack will change, it's just when, and it may be happening right now. And in the pit area again is the 14 car of Rick Crawford. They had sent it out, but apparently it still has problems.
Oh, that's a tough break. He did so well last week to win the 50-lap qualifier. Had power steering problems last week, and now, apparently, according to Don Garlitz, that power steering problem still exists.
All right, the 52 car, Butch Miller, who is the defending champion of this race, has moved into that 4th position. Miller is on the prowl.
Definitely so. That Chevrolet Lumina-bodied automobile, he comes right up behind Bobby Dodder in the white number 6.
Butch Miller, just a master tactician, obviously a very brave driver. Look at this, on the inside of Bobby Dodder. Miller's car is handling better than Bobby Dodder's. It'll stick down low.
Oh, there he good line through turn 1, and he takes over the 3rd position. Up ahead of him is the white number 3, Kenny Wallace. Let's see what happens with Butch Miller as he moves through the field here at Nashville.
While we were away, Butch Miller, the 52 car, just kept on trucking. He's in the 2nd position. Here is the battle for 3rd. The number 3 car of Kenny Wallace, the number 6 car of Bobby Dotter.
Great action here as you watch the TNN All American 400 unfold at the Nashville Motor Raceway. I'm Brock Yates along with Steve Evans and our pal Big Daddy Don Garlitz, the great drag racing champion, getting his first look at this kind of wild short track action, Steve.
And he's having as much fun as anybody out here, and who wouldn't look at this battle for that 3rd position?
Well, look at Bobby Dotter's car. The right front fender's gone. I don't know whether that was because of a tangle with Kenny Wallace. Kenny's car looks okay, but look at the bodywork is just slowly shredding off that thing. It looks like it got a case of leprosy.
That's right. Don't worry about operating. It'll fall off by itself. Actually, it was Dotter who came up and gave the 3-car Kenny Wallace a bit of a kiss and ended up on the losing end of it. But aerodynamics aren't a big factor here, other than the rear spoiler on the automobile.
That's right. And they worried about a 1/4 of an inch in the tech inspection, but I don't think that's got a whole lot to do with it either. As we take a look at Steve Burgess back there at 6'5". Remember, he started on the pole, Steve, and his crew told me, and they continue to tell me, he's okay. They're just going to cruise for a while.
You know, something bad's happened to Harold Fair in the 81 car. He has gotten himself a lap down, and to unlap himself, he's going to have to catch up and get around Junior Hanley. Right now, let's go to Brock Yates in Harold Fair's pits. Brock?
I'm with Harold Fair Jr., and Dad seems to be leading a little bit. Harold, what's going on out there? What's he telling you?
Players are really greasing up on him right now. We're looking for a yellow to come in and put some fresh ones on.
Okay, well, you maybe work that out on the next stop, huh?
What's that?
Try to work it out on the next stop.
Yeah, fresh tires will fix it right up.
Okay, go get him.
Well, I hope you're right, Harold Fair Jr., because when you get a lap down on the short track, it can be tough. And look at this. One of the best of them all, Bob Seneca, has tagged the wall in the 84 car. And that may tell us that this track, as it traditionally does at this stage of the race on a hot day, starts to get slick in the turns. Let's have another look at it now. Here on the right-hand side of your screen, up near the wall, just before it says Nashville there, is Seneca, and he had no help whatsoever getting into that wall. Brock, he did it all by himself.
Well, I've got to believe maybe something broke on Seneca's car. Maybe a tire went down on him or suspension speed froze, because he just didn't spin. He just kind of shoved it up against the wall. Here come the leaders. We've got a pit stop while they clear away Seneca's automobile. That's Junior Hanley's crew, the 72 car Illumina out of Canada. Look at these guys go to work.
Well, you know, they may not have a fancy bunch of uniforms like Butch Miller's crew does here, but Junior Hanley so far has quick time in the pits.
Oh,
look at those guys go to work. They've got tires, they've cleaned the windshield, and they're out of there again. Brilliant. And also, Butch Miller, the 52 car, is down off the jets. He had a much better pit stop than he did earlier, but the shocker here was the number 66 car. Glenn Allen Jr., his crew did such a good job. He has beaten Junior Hanley out of the pits. Outstanding effort there. And Brock, what do you say? We've got the radio here. Let's see if we can reach Butch Miller on the phone.
Okay.
Butch Miller, Brock Yates, Diamond P. Go ahead, Brock. Okay, we're just about halfway in this little rascal. How are things looking for you out there? I think that stop was a little bit better. You know, things are looking okay. It's still a ways to go. And, you know, I'd like to say I haven't shown all my cards, but I've been running as fast as I can.
Brock, I hate to interrupt you, but we've got some more action unexpected down on pit road. Junior Hanley, who had been the leader, has brought the 72 car back into the pits for a consultation. Ooh, this is not good news. It appears that the hood is coming up on that car. There's something, well, maybe not.
No, Steve, these hit the kill switch. They just gave the signal, turn it off. Unfortunately, a really tough turn of events. The crew chief there turning away in disgust as this automobile, which was so strong, the strongest obviously in the race up to now, Junior Hanley, the AC2 driver from Oakville, Ontario, pushed into the pits. He is out of it for the day.
And in this packed field now, when we do again go green, it'll be the 12 car, that silver machine that started on the pole, Steve Burgess, back up front where he feels he belongs.
By the way, Steve, that car has no power steering. They built it. It's a very sophisticated automobile. As I told you earlier, he doesn't need power steering. So he'll be in good shape if handling is just the key here.
All right, here is the restart. And it is Burgess, officially the leader. That is the second car in your picture, the beautiful silver car. That's the man who earned the pole and is now back up front. Smart driving so far from that man.
The yellow and blue automobile, the number 1 car. Right behind him is Jay Sauter, another ASA driver, the son of Jim Sauter, a former Winston Cup driver and also ASA star. He sits back there. Let's see whether he can move in on this very sophisticated all-silver automobile, that 12 car Burgess.
Okay, so that is the fight for the lead. It is Burgess and Sauter, 1 and 2. Right now, let's go to Don Garlitz and see what he has found out about the Bob Seneker incident. You recall that Seneker hit the wall pretty hard.
It's a tough break, Bob. What do you think happened out there?
Well, after that pit stop, it wouldn't turn like we didn't have enough split in it. It kept getting a little worse, and I think finally the right front tire must have blown or something. He just went straight in the fence.
Picked up a little debris or something in that right front.
Yeah, that, and we were overworking it quite a bit too because it wouldn't turn to start with, so I'm not sure what happened.
No right front tire, you're out of business, right?
You got to turn on these left-hand tracks.
Okay, sorry.
Well, a man the quality of Bob Seneker doesn't hit the wall all by himself, Brock. You were absolutely right. Something did go wrong, and that something was a tire.
Well, Steve, an interesting turn of events, though, right now, as we watch Bobby Dodder still running up there with that 3/4 bodied automobile. But we've lost Seneker, Junior Hanley, and Rick Crawford has fallen away back because of his problems. So major players already out of this race.
And another one possibly falling back is Glenn Allen Jr. after that brilliant pit stop. The 66 car having trouble holding on to 6th position. And there is Jody Ridley again on the move right beside Glenn Allen Jr. and now puts him away.